Hello friends and welcome back to the channel. I hope you enjoyed that little intro there. I've been looking for a good reason to use that audio clip for what seems like the longest time now. Finally had a good opportunity to do so. Today, as you can see, I'm taking up one of my favorite champions in the game, King GROOT, up to rank 5. I have a bunch of gameplay to show you today. Story quests, AQ, Battlegrounds, we're going to cover it all. Let's jump right in. So first off today, I want to share a very quick fight showcasing King GROOT at close to his maximum potential. This is Realm of Legends Wolverine. We have a full synergy team here, but no boosts, no ouchie masteries. Now, if you're unfamiliar with how King GROOT works, he cycles between a Fury phase and a regen phase, and to get the most out of him, you really need to play aggressively, especially during that regen phase, so that you can land a huge special 2 with a bunch of Furies active. Now the synergies I'm using here serve to give him additional guaranteed Fury buffs and an increased chance to gain them during the cooldown period. Now you can see we've already disabled Wolverine's healing without even really trying here between all of the poisons, the armor breaks, and the despair mastery, so he won't be healing up at all now. We've got 18 Furies, we let the special 2 rip there. It does about 70k damage or so, but more importantly, we've cashed in one of our Fury buffs for a poison debuff, and you can see it's ticking for about 4,400 damage per second, and that's going to last for 20 seconds. We can pause it with a heavy if we need to, but it doesn't matter because this fight is already over. We're not even going to need that second special 2 here. The poison damage is basically going to do him in. I think we do one more heavy here to pause it, and then he dies shortly after the special 1. So 65 hits. That fight took just over a minute, 62 seconds. The knock on King GROOT is always that he is too slow to be considered a good cosmic champion, but again, no boosts, no ouchie masteries, so that time can actually be a lot faster. Now I can already hear you saying to yourself, okay, yeah, but the poison did a ton of work there. Surely he can't be that good in a poison immune fight, right? So here we go again, same team against Captain Marvel, and this time we have to rely entirely on basic hits and just the hit damage from the special attacks. But the outcome here is going to be the same. This fight is also going to be over in just about a minute as well. Now you might be questioning the practicality of using a full synergy team, but in solo content for me, this is how I like to use him. If you're new to the channel, I do all of my story content item lists, and with other champs, you know, they take some chip damage here, they take some hits there, and then you need to dump potions or revives into them. But with King GROOT, he can usually clear an entire path by himself without any of that stuff because his regen is just off the charts good. So I can almost always afford to bring in a full synergy team like this. With King GROOT, staying aggressive is very important during his regen phase because you want to keep adding to that gray counter in the corner there. That's what's controlling your Fury buffs. So we're going to have 19 Furies locked and loaded. Here comes another big special 2. This is going to do about 20% of her health. And now our basic hits are going to be doing a ton of damage. We have some 9k or so non-crit light attacks. There's a nice 28k medium crit. Here comes another 28k medium crit, an 18k light crit, and then down she goes. I think that fight was 75 seconds if memory serves, so yeah, he's just fine against poison immune matchups. Okay, here's an example of a fight without the benefit of a full synergy team. This is the Map 8 Pryde mini-boss. I think this is day 4, day 5, 180k health either way. King GROOT is my primary AQ champion. He takes about 18 fights every day for me in AQ. The reason I like using him in there is because his regen is so powerful, I don't have to waste items on him, which means I can use my glory for more important things every week. Now in this particular matchup, Pryde is going to go unblockable after a certain amount of time. You can see that gray timer she has on her. So the goal here is really to kill her before that happens, because if she hits us with a special 1 and she's fully unblockable, it's going to be very painful. So we've got 8 Furies going here. We nail her with a special 2 that applies a nice poison there, about 2,400 damage per second. Our basic attacks are doing a decent amount of damage as well. Hit her with a striker, a nice heavy crit there, and then the poison ends up doing her in during the special 2. So there we go. That was about a 45-second fight, well in time before she goes unblockable. Okay, let's move into some story content here. This is a path from 8.1.1. Got a Rocket Raccoon with 320,000 health. And again, we're not using a full synergy team here, just my 2 favorite synergy partners. Now, the idea on this path is that you're going to gain aptitude buffs whenever you have 3 or more Furies active. So right away, we started the fight with 3 aptitudes since we had 5 Furies. And then on this path, the defender has like a 60% chance to auto-block you, and you can disable that chance by having 4 or more buffs active. So again, from the start of the fight, we're always going to have 4 4 or more buffs active, so the auto block is basically never a problem. Now we're staying aggressive here during the cooldown phase. You can see our malice counter increasing, and then when the timer ends, we're going to trigger like 11 fury buffs, I think. And with the aptitudes, we're going to be hitting incredibly hard. There's a nice 46k medium crit, a 29k light crit, and this special 2 absolutely demolishes Rocket. I think this is under 40 seconds, so really, really solid kill. Alright, here's an interesting path from 815. We have a Deadpool here with over 500,000 health, about 10,000 attack. We also have a node here called Splash Zone. And the idea behind this node is that if any part of the defender's special attack doesn't hit you, meaning you've dexed it, you're going to take a bunch of direct damage. If instead you block the hits in the defender's special attack, they're going to take direct damage. So in this particular fight, we want to push Deadpool to his special 2 because he has a ton of hits in that special 2, and we can just block them all and force him to take direct damage. Now the reason King Groot is so good on this particular path is because when you have a bunch of defenders with 10,000 attack rating and a bunch of like projectile hits that you have to block in order to deal damage, that kind of chip damage really adds up. You have this Deadpool, there's a Falcon on this path, I think there's a Cable and an APOC, so lots of champs. You're going to have to take a lot of block damage, but King Groot, he's just going to heal up all of that chip damage. So we're also taking advantage of the Juke node here, you can see, to build up passive Furies, and then he's going to end up killing himself there with that final special 2. So that was, again, under a minute, and we finished the fight at full health. Alright, here's a path from 821. We have a Storm here with 500,000 health. This is one of those weird weapon paths that they started to sprinkle into newer Act content. This weapon is called Tactical Skateboard. Basically grants the defender a cruelty passive whenever they hit into our block, and those cruelties let them crit into our block as well. Especially when it comes to Storm, if you mistime one of her special attacks between all the prowess, her crit rate, and the cruelty, she has a chance to one-shot you. So we can disarm her with a heavy attack, and then our damage is going to be increased when the weapon is disarmed for every unique buff that we have. So you can see I've added the Odin pre-fights here. Odin in general is really, really good for King Groot because that aptitude pre-fight does a lot of work increasing the potency of our Furies. So the plan here is to wait until we have the Furies active, try and knock her down with a heavy, and then blitz her with a big special 2. So kind of a bunch of things have to line up here. She's being not very cooperative here, so we do knock her down and disable the weapon. However, we missed our chance with the Fury cycle, so we're just going to dump our power with the special 2 and then wait for the next cycle. And again, I've said it a few times in this video, you have to stay aggressive during the cooldown phase or else you're not going to get enough Furies. So we've managed to build ourselves back up to 10. We land the Striker to get another opening here. Didn't even need the special 2, still finished with full health. Last story fight I want to share with you today is this Iceman from 8.2.5. Now, one of King Groot's most undervalued and often overlooked pieces of utility is that whenever he has a Fury buff, he has a 100% chance to shrug off any debuff. So with Iceman here, he applied the Cold Snap at the start of the fight and it's instantly gone. And this works with any debuff, damaging or non-damaging. So this path has a node called Arrogance on it, which falters us every 10 hits in our combo. But with the Celestial Vision node, we have a chance per unique buff to gain a Vigilance buff on us, which will counter the miss. And then whenever we do counter the miss, we're going to gain a Fury passive. So Odin here, again, putting in a lot of work. Those 3 extra unique buffs are basically guaranteeing us a Vigilance buff on almost every hit. You can see Iceman went fully unblockable there. That's from the Counter-Strike node. That's basically going to happen naturally in this fight as you dex to bait specials or just dex the specials to begin with. And with King Groot, you know, I obviously could have been just blocking those specials, but like I think I just have too much muscle memory and I'm just, you know, I'm hardwired to dex every special if I can. So our regen is doing a nice bit of work here, keeping us topped off. It's doing about 1100 healing per second. We've got a ton of Fury passes from both Counter-Strike and Nowhere to Hide, and I think the special 2 that we're working toward here is going to kill him. We just need to land a blind intercept. There we go, and this special 2 I think does him in. So this is a little bit of a slower fight than the other ones. I think it's over a minute, maybe like 70 seconds or so, but you know, we finished at full health. We didn't take any Cold Snap damage at the start of the fight, which I think is a huge win. Alright, let's move into some Battlegrounds fights now. So where King Groot is really going to shine for you in Battlegrounds is any fight against a robot defender. And that's because against robots, his special 2 actually does triple damage than it would normally. So all these fights that I'm going to showcase for you here are going to be against the game's most common robot defenders. So first up we have this Omega Sentinel here. So the meta for this season is buff toggle unstoppable, and it does end up hurting King Groot quite a bit, just in terms of slowing the fight down. Talked a lot lot in this video about wanting to stay aggressive, especially during the cooldown phase, so that you have more Furies to work with during the Malice phase. But when the Unstoppable triggers and you're trying to build up those Furies, you really can't. So my goal here is just to stay as aggressive as possible. We want to bait out special ones only, try our best not to give her too many armor ups, and then we want to get to a special 2 with our Malice active, our Fury buffs active, and we are going to obliterate what is left of her health pool in a single special 2 here. So Malice is about to trigger, we've got 6 Fury buffs to deal with, we do a full combo, and then the special 2 kills her in one go. So pretty good. I think that was sub 40 seconds, which is a really, really good time for such a slow champ like King GROOT, right? Alright, now we have this Guillotine 2099, and with her we have to be a little bit more intentional with our attacks because we don't have a good counter to her invisibility. So we heavy at the start to put it on cooldown and then just basic combo her. With her special 1, we are immune to power drain, so it's not going to drain any of our power. And then I think I do accidentally trigger her Digicloak here shortly. When King GROOT misses while Malice is on cooldown, he is instantly going to gain 2 of those passive Fury charges. So you saw the counter there jump from 4 to 6 when I missed. And then from here, I accidentally take a few hits as well. That's not a problem because the regen is still running, and then this special 2 completely decimates her remaining health, and we finish the fight, again, sub 40 seconds. Alright, next up is Darkhawk, and let's talk for a second about the scoring changes in this season of Battlegrounds. So attacker health remaining is now much more important than it was in previous seasons. And when it comes to King GROOT, his regen is so powerful that unless you really screw up a fight, you are more likely than not going to finish it at or close to 100% health. And then when you add like Darkhawk into the mix here, his special 1, very difficult to dex. I certainly can't get a full dex on it, which means I know going in that I'm going to take some chip damage just by playing the fight. But with King GROOT, I can always heal up that damage. So we've got Darkhawk in stealth mode, but he can't cause our special attacks to miss. So we're just going to parry, let the special 2 rip. It does a butt ton of damage. Unfortunately, doesn't kill him. He's a little bit tankier than the other 2 opponents I've shown off in this video so far. So we're just going to have to play normally, bait out the special 1 if we can, and then continuously try and build up those Furies while the regen is active. Watching for the Unstoppable, of course. We don't want to push him to the special 2 if we don't have a special 2 of our own ready, because again, we don't really want to necessarily trigger the miss. So we've got our Furies back. There's a nice 10k crit to finish. Again, a bit of a slower fight, but thanks to the scoring changes, we still have a really nice score with the 100% health remaining. Alright, next up we have another champ who is near and dear to my heart in Viv Vision. So King GROOT is immune to power burn, which means we can safely hit into Viv with all of our basic attacks without worrying about taking any of that damage back. And that's really what makes Viv so annoying on defense, right? Unless you have that immunity or a way to quickly remove her armor ups, you are guaranteed to be taking a ton of damage just hitting her. You can of course stick to heavies, but that's going to be really too slow for a mode like this. So we're worked up to our special 2, we're trying to get this special 2 out of her, and I'm remembering back as I'm watching this video how uncooperative she is here. I'm wasting like what feels like 10 or 15 seconds trying to get this special 2. Our Furies are ready, our special 2 is ready. She finally tosses her special 2, but oh no, the Unstoppable has triggered, so we have to give it another second or 2. Thankfully, we get the entire special 2 off before our Furies expire, and because she has all those armor ups, she's a bit more tanky, and the special 2 doesn't kill her outright, so we do have to bait out a second special 2, and I think once the Furies come back for this second cycle, the damage from just our basic attacks is enough to do her in. So we have enough time for a few hits before Unstoppable triggers again, and then once it disappears, another combo will finish her off. So I think this fight was about 71 seconds, if I remember correctly. I think it could have been under a minute if she hadn't been so uncooperative, but again, we got close to that 100% finish and a nice score. Ultron is a defender that I really don't see very often, to be honest, but I'm including him here anyway. This is a rank 4 Ultra that MSD has on his alt account. So I mentioned during the Darkhawk fight that whenever King GROOT misses during his regen phase, he's going to instantly gain 2 Malice charges. This also occurs whenever King GROOT is evaded. So when it comes to Ultron, if you are very mindful of purposely triggering his evade while your regen is active, you can then ensure that your next Fury cycle is going to be much stronger. So we've got the special 2 ready, just waiting on the Furies. I think I do sneak in an evade. There we go to get get a couple extra at the last possible second. Full combo into the special 2 with 7 Furies, does 50% of his health. We turn off the regen, then we take a couple hits there. So right there, we lost 11% of our health, which could have been a match killer for anybody else. But the regen triggers, it's going to top us back up to a yellow bar before the end of the fight. Baiting out the special 1, waiting for the unstoppable to go away, and then I think waiting for the evade, 1 hit into the special 2, full yellow bar finish, and we get close to a 50k score. Again, health remaining in this scoring system favors King Groot so much. Now on to a defender that I see a bit more often than Ultron, that's Warlock here. So Warlock is a pretty interesting matchup for King Groot because the infection obviously is going to stop him from healing, but since he's immune to power drain, he's not going to take any of the degen damage that other champs are going to take normally if they attempt to heal while infected. And then our buffs are actually going to decrease the duration of the infection, which is going to lead to enough downtime on it that we'll be able to sneak in some regen and heal back a lot of the chip damage. Our Malice is about to trigger, we've got the Furies ready, full combo into the special 2, does a ton of damage again. Another reason attackers sometimes struggle with Warlock is because you can't crit him with special attacks while he's got that armor up. So unless you have a champion who can remove that, you're really going to struggle with special attack damage. Most of King Groot's damage is red damage though, so it really gets around that cap. Now I think here I'm trying to prevent him from throwing the special 1, however, he tosses it right into my block, and then I end up taking some of the shock damage here, and the infection is still going. So I think I end up killing him before I'm able to heal back all that shock damage. So we don't finish this fight at 100% health, but if I could have waited it out for maybe another 5 or 10 seconds, it probably would have been fine. The last fight I have for you today is Nimrod, and although you're going to see me play this fight very similarly to the others, I do want to talk for a bit about another interesting piece of King Groot's utility as it pertains specifically to Nimrod. Now, if you're familiar with Nimrod, you know that you can't remove his armor ups with an armor break, and he reduces the potency of armor breaks by 100%. So it would kind of seem at first glance like King Groot's special 1 is therefore useless against Nimrod because the armor breaks would really do nothing. However, King Groot's armor breaks differ from the ones that other cosmic champions have in that they also will reduce the potency of future armor up buffs by 10% each. So, if you stack a bunch of them on Nimrod, yeah, they're not reducing his current armor, but they will be reducing his potential armor for the remainder of the fight. And again, I'm not utilizing that strategy in this particular fight, but I do think it is absolutely worth mentioning. So we're about at our special 2. We're going to get 9 Furies when Malice triggers here in just a couple seconds. Got to wait out the special lock when we cross 2 bars of power. Parry, and then 1 hit, and the special 2 finishes the fight. That was a 66-second fight against Nimrod, who is a very tanky champion. Of course, ended up losing. Bitter there showing off his Titania skills. 45 seconds against a Tuma, that's pretty good. That's going to do it for this one, folks. Rank 5 King Groot is here. Look at him. Look how beautiful he is. I hope you got something good out of the fights that I showcased for you today. If you made it this far into the video, please let me know with a comment below. Long live the King. Folks, as always, thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you again next time.